How many times have you taken that tub of books or assignments from the classroom to the car, into the house, back to the car, back to the classroom, and still not completed the marking? In your search for a balance between home and work, improved marking strategies could give you more flexibility and time that could be better spent doing other things. One of the contributing factors to stress and burnout for teachers is excessive workload. So developing some hacks for reducing workload is essential for teacher wellbeing. I'm going to share with you some simple tips to reduce your marking time, increase the effectiveness of your feedback, and ensure that students do the work to close the gap between where they are and where they need to be. My name's Mari Amaro, and I'm the Principal Presenter at The Highly Effective Teacher. I'm a teacher, and I've been working with students and supporting teachers for over 30 years. I'm passionate about teacher wellbeing and about helping teachers thrive in the teaching profession by implementing evidence-based practices that will support them. Teacher wellbeing means improved student wellbeing, and that contributes to better academic and social outcomes. If you'd like to learn more about teacher wellbeing, please subscribe to our channel and make sure you ring the bell so that you receive notifications of all our videos. And if you're interested in reducing teacher workload, please check out the link to my other video where I share some great tips that will help you with developing more efficient classroom practices. Today I'm going to talk about better ways to mark students' work. We mark students' work to see if they understand the task, to see if they've met the learning intention, to check that they've completed the task, to provide useful feedback, and to motivate and engage our students. The purpose of feedback and the purpose behind what we do in teacher marking is that students become more aware of how to improve their own learning and to take responsibility for that improvement. As the teacher, you need to stop being the hardest working person in the classroom. Number 1, use symbols. Rather than writing out your feedback in longhand, use symbols to indicate certain points that you may be making. For example, a plus sign where a student needs to give more information. Use a code that indicates the most prevalent comments that you make. For example, praise indicators, improvement suggestions, and all the things that you use to indicate that for student work. Have the symbols guide stuck in the front of student books so that they can use that to refer to and use. Number 2, focus on one aspect of the task. For example, focusing your marking on one aspect of the task reduces your time in marking. So let your students know in advance what you're going to be marking. In other words, don't mark everything every time. Some of the time you might be focused on paragraphs, at another time effective use of punctuation, for example. Number 3, reward your students. Using stamps and stickers works with kindergarten to year 12 and kids love it. I met a student who was using sniff and smell stickers for her year 12 and they were really motivated by it. Number 4, use different coloured pens. Now this is similar to using symbols strategy. When you use different coloured pens, you give students the message quickly what level of work they've submitted. So throughout a piece of work, some parts may be well done, some parts may need additional information, and some parts may need to be completely reworked. You can use green pen for work that's completed well, orange for work that needs a bit more touch-up, and purple for work that needs to be completely redone. Number 5, peer marking. This can really only be used in a classroom where you already have high levels of trust and a positive classroom culture. Teach students to mark each other's work using assessment criteria. Ensure that work marked by students is clearly noted and signed by the student. One teacher I know uses 3 before me in this way. So students need to have their work checked by 3 sources before it gets to the teacher. And this is usually most effective if more than one student checks the work. And students also learn from critiquing each other's work. Number 6, peer comment. This is related to the peer marking as well. Teach your students to give feedback to each other using kind, specific, and helpful as their mantra. And support your students to do this effectively by modelling it and practicing it with the whole class. Number 7, use self-assessment. Have students mark their work in the same way that you do for peer marking. Explicitly teach students to assess their own work and provide opportunities for them to do so before they hand their work to you. You then assess the work after the student has already made comments and adjustments. You can use this as a teaching tool by teaching students how to effectively proofread and edit their own work. Really great skills that students will need. Number 8, one-on-one conferencing. Set students to independent work in class while you conference with each student individually so you can discuss and expand on written feedback. This may seem like it would take a whole lot more time, but that is not necessarily the case. If you schedule students to conference with you, the feedback they receive is of a much greater quality because it's more immediate and more effective than written comments because you can explain the feedback clearly and the students can ask you questions in a private situation, which they may be less likely to do in the whole class. Number 9, swap and mark. Where it's appropriate, you can have students mark their own work in class, which reduces the amount of time you need to spend on each piece. And it also has the advantage of immediate feedback, which increases the effectiveness of the feedback and the opportunity for students to improve. This is most effective with quizzes and shorter tasks that can be marked quickly and easily by students. Number 10, use shared technology spaces. Using technology such as Google Docs, where students can post assignments, gives you access to their work in progress. And this reduces the amount of work you'll need to do at the end of a task because you've been giving the student feedback while the task is being completed. The feedback given during the progress of a task also prevents students going down a completely wrong path and guides them in the right direction, making it more likely that their work will be of a high quality. Number 11, check their drafts. In much the same way as Google Docs, if you require students to submit drafts of their work during the process rather than simply the finished product, you can give them feedback while they're working on the task, which will guide them much more effectively and reduce the amount of work you need to do once the assignment is completed. Give students templates to follow that show their thinking along the way and ensure that the draft process is about making improvements and not about a grade. Number 12, use examples of work to critique as a class. So you can show an example of work from one student, with permission of course, and with a positive classroom culture of respect, and critique that work together. Guide the class through the editing process, staying focused on common misconceptions and weaknesses, as well as hiding strengths of the piece, so that you model making improvements together. Individual students then return to their own work and edit that independently, using the worked example which is fresh in their minds. What are some of your best tips for effective marking? Share some of those strategies below so that you can help other teachers reduce their workload, and together we can improve teacher wellbeing. Thanks for watching our video. Stay safe and happy teaching.